Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to all the participants. I welcome you all to the sixth lecture of the ARWA Archaeology in Action Greater Indus Region Archaeology talk series. So today our speaker is Dr. Veena Mushrif-Tripathy. She is from Deccan College. So she's an assistant professor there at Deccan College. Before joining Deccan College, she had a brief stint at the MS University, Vadodara, and she is involved in various research activities, projects, and one of her most recent project is funding from the National Geographic Society on investigating one of the caves in Ladakh region. So she has published extensively. She has worked on the bioarchaeological part, particularly on the human remains from various archaeological sites of different time periods, starting from the Harappan or even before, up to historical archaeology. So she has a wide experience working with Professor Valimbe, who is also one of the pioneers in anthropological research in India. So we look forward to your talk, Veena, and I really thank you for accepting to deliver this lecture. Now the floor is yours. I mean, please deliver.
Okay, so I will be talking about, this is my topic actually, regarding the overview of mortuary behavior of Harappans. So I will start with thanking Ute Frank and Dr. Prabhakar, who actually invited from ARWA, Archaeology in Action, that forum, and I am thankful to Professor V. Shinde and Dr. Amindranath, who actually gave me two Harappan sites to study. One is Rakhigarhi and Farmana. And as you know, that Harappa is such a subject that you know, like many people, many scholars, many students are working on it. And I am nothing to say much. I'm compiling the data here from, these are three main sources of mine, which I'm going to use today. I'm going to try to give you some overview about Harappan burial practice. Or so so the first is Dr. V. N. Prabhakar's PhD thesis, where he has mentioned about burial practices from different region, from different chronology, but I am used his. Then one of my student who completed recently her PhD mortuary practices of the Harappan sites from special reference to Northwest region. And one of my MA dissertation student, Srimoy Chakrabarti. So she has worked on the preliminary study of body position and postures in a bit of inferences based on that. So I don't have to explain you the Harappan chronology or Harappan region, because this is like we are discussing about Harappa since many years. But just to give you overview, like we are trying to say the early Harappan, the mature Harappan, and the late Harappan. So most of the sites are in this around 2300, 2600 BCE, like Harappa, Dhulavira, Rakhigarhi, Kalibangan, and other thing, where you are having these burials from early, mature, and late Harappan cultural phases. Then the second is, this is the region where we are seeing the northwest part of the India and the Pakistan, that area where you are having the Harappan region, and there are many sites. And after the independence, the Indian archaeologists, they try to find out lot many sites which are comparable to Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, which is from which the name comes as a Harappan civilization. So we have Kalibangan, then Rakhigarhi and Farmana and other these are the one of the main sites from where we can get some inferences practices regarding the Harappan civilization or Harappan mortuary practices or Harappan culture overall. So when we talk about this funerary archaeologies, it is like it includes different things about like human remains, their burial context, their whether they are single, multiple, what kind of grave goods are being offered, and it is like a subset of study of religion and beliefs and wide range of kind of burial practices of beliefs, basically what they were how they were treating the dead, how they are whether they are doing they are respecting the dead or anything. So these kind of things like beliefs, customs and practices were unique and may have been the inhabitants of that particular society is offering to the dead person. And it also is reflection in a way relates to their social and economical context. It may not have uh, the exact proportionate to their social and economical, but we might get certain incidents or certain inferences using mortuary practices or understanding their burial custom. So these are the cognitive process behind when we talk about mortuary, when we talk about burial, when we talk about these kind of belief system, we talk about cognitive process of and how it is being involved burying the departed. So the factors which considered to be influencing burial practices is what kind of geography or social system or what kind of pre-inscribed rituals are there or are present within the society. So that also reflects the burial custom. Then climate and topography and weather determine the body is buried under the ground, or whether they how they are burying the dead, how whether they are using the cultivable land or they are using the barren land, another thing. So the climate and topography plays again a very significant role when we discuss about the mortuary practices. Then the social attitude towards the departed, how we can understand that through the burial, seeing the burial. Then age and sex of the individual, whether it actually matters, like whether it's a female or a male, how the treatment has given to the children, how it is being given to the natural death or to the accidental death, what are there any kind of differences between these kind of different episodes within the life. All those things matters. At the same time, you are having a lot of limitations when we do the mortuary practices or a burial practices about any civilization or any culture. Basically, it is because the first and foremost thing is it's a partial representation of the inhabitants. It does not give any it gives you some indications of some portion of the society. It is not a complete representation. As you know that, like for example, like Harappan cemetery or 37 or 8 cemetery or whatever you take, or Mohenjo-daro, you have Harappan in that context is like the city was inhabited for around 3,000 years or 4,000 years, but you hardly get 200 specimens or 200 skeletons or burials from them. So it is entirely impossible to say that these are the complete representation of the population. These are the some part of the society which is represented in the burial system. That means that there are certain other ways of disposing the dead, not just the burial. So there might be a cremation, there might be some putting the body in the water or throwing it on to the natural element and other things. So these are the different ways of saying goodbye to your departed ones. And the second part is preservation, whether the soil or within that, whether it is a good for the preservation of the skeletal element. Sometimes you get the burials, but they are not very properly preserved. So your inferences or your understanding is completely limited or completely kind of very limited knowledge you get. And there are like taphonomical changes, obviously, like water or other things. These actually kind of get into the understanding problem. It's actually a problem to understand the burial custom. So the post-burial disturbances and partial representation. So these are the main limitations of the study of mortuary practices. For this presentation, I have chose some of the sites which like Farmana, Rakhigarhi, Lothal, Kalibangan, Rupar, and Surkotada. These are Dhulavira. So these are the sites which I have selected for understanding the mortuary overall general practices of Harappans. Coming to the site, different site. So first is the Kalibanga, and then you are having the skeletal remains. And the site was excavated by B.K. Thapar in 1969, 9 years. And then there is the Rakhigarhi site in Hissar district, Haryana, where Amindranath excavated first in 1997, 2000, and then after V. Shinde excavated in 2013 and 16, and currently it has been excavated by ASI. And there are mounds which are like we will be discussing it in detail in further slides, but this is just to give you a few important facts regarding the site. Farmana, which I work personally on the Rakhigarhi. Obviously, I worked on the Amarnath collection, that excavation. So Farmana is like, again, it's in Rohtak district in Haryana. Dr. Shinde excavated, Professor Shinde excavated it. Dhulavira, Dr. Brisht has excavated it. This is one of the biggest site, again the Rakhigarhi of Harappan civilization. But unfortunately, you do not have the skeletal, only very few skeletal remains are there, but rest of them are cis burial or kind of different types of burial, which is not considered to be the Harappan burials. Coming to the Lothal, it is situated in the Ahmadabad, and S.R. Rao excavated in 1954 to 1963, and 21 graves were excavated from that. And it is also anthropologically studied, these specimens. Surkotada has only 4 skeletons, not exactly skeletons, the pot burials, which they have few are cremated bones. And this was excavated by J.P. Joshi in 1970-72 during that. Rupar is excavated in 1953 and 55, 18 burials were excavated. So these are the sites which I'm going to cover during my presentation. So coming to the first site, Farmana, as you see, it's a proper cemetery. Here you can see there are so many burials, like 70 burials were marked in the Farmana site, and this is a habitation site, and you are having around 900 meters away from it is the cemetery is there. So as you can see, this is the cemetery, and there are different types of burials, as you can see, and different types, different orientation also. It's not like, even though in this also you can understand different, the burial pits, as you can see, they are not uniformly placed, but there are like haphazardly, some are being cutting to other burials as well, or later burials are cutting the earlier burials, as you can see in this particular photo. Like this is earlier burial, which is and this is a later burial, and this has been cut through this burial. And there are like a lot of different types of burial here. This is the one of the longest burial pit, but there are only 4 bones, like the lower extremity, the femur, and the tibia. The interpretation can be varied here. Maybe the person died somewhere else, and they have bought the long bones, which are being easy to carry, which are being easy to identify. So that can be one of the possible explanation for this burial. So coming to the Rakhigarhi is again, now everybody, it's one of the most spoken site right now. And as you can see, there are different mounds which has a skeletal remains, RJR1, RJR2, and RJR7. So RJR7 is considered to be the a typical Harappan burials where you get the maximum. These two are again different from RGR2, and from RGR1 we are having some skeleton, but we did not get into those material in the lab, so we do not know about it. So but there were some 4 to 5 skeletons coming from RGR1. So this is how you can see the properly laid burial with having a lot of pottery as a grave goods, ornaments, personal ornaments like gold armlet is there, shell bangles is there. So these are the things we get from the Rakhigarhi. And then this is a Lothal. Again, the cemetery is a little away from the Lothal side, and this is a double burial. This is, again, you can see there is an inclination of the skeleton here. It is not exactly supine position. Maybe the head was slightly inclined. And here also you are getting with a very minimum number of pottery. And here only one pot is there along with the skeleton. So these are the certain variations we see in the skeleton. So again, when I was talking about Surkotada, we talk about these burials or these remains, like 4 burials are there, and these are all pot burials, and we get the cremated bones here. We do not get the complete bones. And again, the cemetery area is slightly away from the main habitation area. So so this is this is what is Dholavira as well as the Surkotada is different. This is from Kalibangan. So as you can see here, again, there is a cemetery area away from this excavated habitation area. And there are different burials which were located and which were excavated. So you get the pot burial area. Here you can see the pot burial area is slightly away from the extended burial, what you see here. So again, you get a very variety of skeletal remains or variety of the mortuary practices in this Kalibangan. So you are getting these kind of, with the pottery here, you get the layers of the pottery below the skeleton or below the body. So, kind of keeping the body on the pots, that also you get. So you get variety of postures in this Kalibangan. This is from Rupar. Again, you can see the cemetery area is very different, placed at different region, and you get these kind of burials in Rupar. This is from Dholavira. So Dholavira, these are the only 3 skeletal remains, primary skeletal remains we get in Dholavira, but rest of them are, from, again, the cemetery is away from the main habitation area. So you get this kind of cis burial, this is cumulus, these things we get in the Dholavira region. So coming to the conclusion, the first not exactly conclusion, first observation is always you find the Harappan cemetery is slightly away from the main habitation area. So when you compare those with the Neolithic Chalcolithic population or Neolithic Chalcolithic the mortuary practice, you get the burials within the habitation area. But when you talk about Harappan, this is always at a little far, like you can see here, Farmana is 900 meters away from the northwest direction. Again, Kalibangan 300 meters or Rakhigarhi 200 meters and other things. So obviously, there is a defined area for the cemetery, which can be a kind of a common factor we see in the Harappan context. So there are like certain observations. So extended burial means laying the person in the supine position. So you have Kalibangan has 10, then Rakhigarhi 9. So you are having a lot of the majority of the skeletal remains or the majority of the bodies are in extended position. Only one in case of Rakhigarhi, which is from the RJR2, that male person has a flexed body, but rest of them are semi-flexed or flexed or extended burial. So these are the things we can identify. Based on that. So this is actually a very one of the very observation what we did. Rakhigarhi, these drawings are done by these drawings are done by Shrimoy, my student. And what we did here in, we try to identify the body alignment within the grave. So what you see here is on the top, there is a the pots are lying, and you get the so this is a female around 40 to 45. Here you have the hands are aligned close to the body, not very closed, but they are there. And then you are having the here also male around 30 years old. The one hand is slightly away from the body, and some pots. Here you can see the shell bangles are there, and as well as the head is towards eastern side, and then you can see the pot is nearby the hand, near the elbow basically. And this is a female, and this is again a male, so where you are having one pot here, and the body alignment, the legs are separated here. So this is what generally in Rakhigarhi we get. In 1999 and 2000 excavation, this is what a general idea about burials, what we got there. Coming to the Farmana side, what we are having here, we are having slight variations within the hand as well as in the leg. So this is here in this, this is a female around 45 years, where she is having a folded hands, and the legs are kind of the toes are close to each other. Here you are having the hand, the left hand is on the, both the hands are on the pelvic, and then you are having a very supine position. Here they are very close, which is a male, and you are having very few pottery here. And here this is a very famous female from Farmana side, and she is kind of little tilted, probably during the putting the body, they kind of misplaced the left side, so she is slightly tilted like that. And you can see there are shell bangles all along this, and there is a anklets here in this. Even the subadults are also in the supine position for Farmana. There are hardly few, not, but they are kept in the supine position. As you can see, the legs are apart from each other, and the hands are very close to each other, and the pottery is kept here. Here in the male, if you see, the legs are semi-flexed or kind of, tilted a bit, and the hands are, one hand is slightly away and one is going along with the body. Coming to the Kalibangan. Kalibangan is really interesting because it has a variety of body posture. Postures are completely different at different burial. So as you can see, the body alignment for this adult male is the hand is on the pelvic, and the legs are apart from each other. Then the subadult also. These Kalibangan is not studied from anthropological perspective. These subadult or adult male or adult female, all these observations are done by Sharma, excavated A.K. Sharma, who excavated the site, who was happened to be the anthropologist. Whatever the male, female, another thing, it is based on his data, not on my data, not any anthropology data. So here you can see the adult female, one leg is crossed here, hand is slightly apart from it. Here it is again interesting, the male around 30 to 35. Here you have the shell bangles near the head. The head is also slightly tilted. The hand is, according to vacation, it is the crippled hand, but we don't know. But as you can see, the legs are a very different way they are being positioned, and the hands are also. Here it is on the folded legs, flexed position in the burial grave, and you can see a lot of fragmented pottery here. Here, as I showed you the picture, this, if you remember, the body is kept on the pot. So again, you can see there are like the cross leg is there, and the pots are on the top of it also, and in the like kind of below the body also. So these are the kind of variety of body postures, variety of way of disposing the dead are seen in the Kalibangan. So as you can see, these are the different types of body, the legs, like, the one leg is going below the other leg, this leg. Here, most likely they have tied the feet or the toes together, because it is very difficult to keep, remain this kind of a body posture or the leg posture after the death, because generally because of the decomposing, it goes apart. So, but here it has been very close to each other, which means they have tied something on the toes or the feet bones. So this is also very interesting finding. And here there are the parallel kept, which is the feet are being inclined inside. Here, if you see, the body is on one side of the it is on the left side, and there are folded hands, like as if he's that sleeping kind of a thing, keeping the hands below the head. So these are the very interesting findings we got, we could identify in the Kalibangan. Coming to overall the double burial. So double burial is a very not we cannot see on each. Am I audible and visible?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So as you can see, the double burial. So so you can see in Lothal, we have like the excavator has found 3 double burial, like one is 13, 14, and then there is 8 and 9, and 3 and 4. This is the 2 and 3. Sorry, these 2 are the double burials. So this is a really interesting, like out of burial, these 3 burials are double burials. In Farmana, there is only one burial, which is number 39, which has 2 individuals buried within the grave pit. This particular grave is interesting in a way that this is the one of the biggest. If you can see the dimension, compare it with other dimensions of the grave pit, you can very well understand that this is one of the biggest grave of Farmana. And this is how it is. The entire thing is empty. Only there are few bones here, and interestingly, there are 2 skulls here. This particular skull is kept upside down. Okay, so this portion is down and the basal portion is up. And I'm going to tell you it's why it is more interesting. But this is again a one evidence of double, not exactly double burial, but obviously there are 2 individuals represented in one burial pit. In Rakhigarhi, the recent excavation, Shindesar's excavation, they have published these 2 double burial, and as you can see, they are in prone position, like they are lying on their stomach, not on their back. So this is a one evidence with where it, according to the excavator, there are 5 individuals, 2 primary and rest are fragmentary individuals represent in this burial pit. So accordingly, this is a one burial pit, and there are 2 individuals, one male and one female, are buried within this grave. And this is the famous one again, like couple, Harappan couple. It has been in news for so long. Again, it's a male and a female where the two individuals are buried together. And according to the anthropological studies, no pathology is been observed on these specimens, but they are still buried. So this is one event. Again, this is also one event. And so there are only three sites from where we are getting double burial, and not even the Kalibangan, which has a lot many varieties, but do not have the double burial. These are the very common practices, like you are having the supine position, whether it's a supine position with pots and offerings, or sometimes do not have pots. But these are the very deviant type of burial system or burial practice, what you are seeing on the screen. So one is a subadult, which is in the Rakhigarhi 2, RJR 2 in 1999-2000 excavation. Here you can see the body of a child around 8-year-old, probably dumped in the pit, because there is no so-called orientation of the body, or there is no there is no offering, there is nothing along with the child. So it is kind of a very disarranged way of body. So most likely this is kind of shows that they might have just dug the ditch and just put the body in that. And we do not have any pathology or severe things seen with this individual. Coming to the next is male around, again, this is from RGR2, and you can see it is in a flex position. According to the excavator, the skeleton has found near the nala or kind of a thing along, like as you can see there were some brick portions here. So this is, I will talk about this person later, but this is how it is a variant from it. This is a female from Farmana, but sorry, Rakhigarhi, again Shindesa's excavation. Here you can see not many of them are seen lying on the prone position, like most of them are lying on the back, but only in the Rakhigarhi, this recent excavation, Shindesa's excavation, there are 4 skeletons which are found, as I know, which are seen on lying on their stomach. So there is a female is also present and male is also present. So there is no distinguish or no different ways of burying the male or a female, which is very interesting. Both of them are around 21 to 35 years of age. So young individuals. Coming to the Farmana. So why you can find sometime double burial interesting. So this is what I was, this is from Farmana. As you can see, this photo, if you remember this, so this is one of the largest, as I told you, and this is the upside down skull. And here, interestingly, this particular skull has a healing stage of trauma. So this is a trauma, but it is not completely healed. So it is in the process of healing, and somehow after that person could not survive and that person died. It is a male individual, and as you can see, this is one more skull is here and another skull. So this one skull is this. So probably this is a kind of the person died somewhere else and they just carried the skull along with them and buried with lot of ceremony, because you get a lot of pottery buried with this skeleton with this skull. So this is again a very interesting finding when we talk about the mortuary practices. So it is not just the complete burial or getting the attention, but it shows the emotion towards this individual. This is what the RS Beast has discussed in his article where he says that this particular individual was found near the north gate of castle and contained the skeleton in a shallow pit. The skeleton is in east-west orientation, placed in crouch position or flex position. And interestingly, it shows that there is a chord blade in the cervical area of the vertebra here. And according to the excavator, it can be a cause of death. Unfortunately, the anthropological analysis could not, I'm not aware of any anthropological studies have been conducted on this source material, this skeleton. But it is really interesting, like how the different types of burial is created for the person who probably died, according to the excavator again, died because of some kind of violent death, or probably like that. So this is coming to the RGR2 skeleton number 2. This is again, Dr. Amindranath discussed that this particular skeleton belongs to Harappan context, but we are not very sure. But in case of if it belongs to Harappan context, this specimen is very interesting or very important because it gives the clear evidence of syphilis, which is the sexually transmitted disease, what we see here. So this is a very, so again, if the skeleton is dumped near or this has been put near the nala or drainage, so syphilis is a very ugly looking disease. It shows on the face like how ugly it is. So probably to get away with this this ugly looking disease or thing, they might have just dumped the body in near the nala. But this is again, if it is with the context as well as the chronology is what the archaeologist is telling. But definitely this has a syphilis. This particular individual has it's a male individual around 30 in 40s in his. So the pottery. So lot of potteries are being associated with as a burial goods or burial offerings. So as you can see here, like there are many burial pots on the head area of this individual. So you get, this is from Rakhigarhi, the recent excavation. This is from the 1999 excavations. This is from Kalibangan. So you are having a huge number of pottery representing, and again the same individual which I was talking to you regarding the floor made of pottery and keeping. But this is from few sites. Certain sites, as I told you, like do not have any pottery. It's just a skeleton lying there. Just there is no offering, much offering, or maybe hardly few pots, or as I have showed you earlier, one pot associated with Lothal. Here, this is also from Lothal. As you can see, only the body is being seen here. So no offerings is being, it just a pit has been dug, and the body has been entered into the pit and they have covered it. So it is not a compulsory, or it is not a very strict norm that you have to put the pottery and how many numbers of pottery being put together. So probably it can reflect the social or your economical stature, but as you see it, there is no indications of, or no inferences can be drawn on any kind of very strict rule regarding the burial practice. When we talk about antiquities, like you are having the shell bangles in mainly on the Rakhigarhi samples. Mainly Rakhigarhi has many individuals which has shell bangles on the arms. And again, in the Farmana also there is a brass, there is a copper ring, as well as there are shell rings here. Near the Kalibangan here, again you are having the shell bangle. The child from Farmana has a copper bangle, tiny copper bangle. here in Rakhigarhi, recent excavation, here they have got shell bangles with it, and here you are having the bead necklaces. So as you know, this individual also has anklets and other things. So the beads are being used in certain Farmana individuals. The bone points have been kept near the individual as a burial offering. So a burial offering, but as a majority, if you see, there are like shell bangles are a kind of very prominent findings from site. Coming to the certain observations, so I'm coming to the closing session of it. So most of the cemetery were situated mostly towards northwest or west side, and variations very less are also noticed. So again, you are the same as I was discussing earlier. Like there is a area which is assigned for the cemetery, and which is not within the habitation, as you can see with the other culture. You can see from Farmana or Farmana mainly that they have reused the same area or same cemetery area for the later period. There are many incidences in Farmana that earlier grave has been dug for the new grave. So one way you can see that they might have lost the memory whether those burials were present there, or and they were not aware of these burials. So probably that is how you disturb the earlier graves and go for the newer graves. So cemeteries of Rakhigarhi, Farmana, Kalibangan have a presence of the female burial, mostly adult. So even though you have you see some skeletons belongs to the subadult subadult age, but there are hardly few if you compare overall. So there is these sites mainly has more of adult adult individuals. So the children might have might have some other ways of mortuary practice. So not necessarily every child was buried. Very maybe probably very few which was with the child was important, or some social or economic status was there, probably might have entered into the cemetery. But it shows that mainly it is the adults who are getting. Lothal that way is predominantly male burials and do not have the female burials. So when Dr. Amindranath was discussing about Rakhigarhi, so where he has observed that pottery, the number of pottery associated with males and females are different. So males have less number of pottery and females have more number of pottery. So if we consider that as a logic, the Lothal where you have predominantly a male cemetery, so the having a less pottery seems to be a normal case. So this kind of the male female variations can be generated using this kind of a data. Then you're having number of male burials is high in Kalibangan. The children or adolescents are also there, but again they are not so much. They are being associated with the pot burials or other, but they are not in the main that ways of supine or extended burial practice. Presence of double burials are not so frequent. So you are getting hardly 3 sites which has double burial incidences, and that too not too many of them. At least still whatever they have excavated, they probably might have excavated more in the late, they might have excavated. So the Surkotada and Dholavira is completely different. Dholavira, other than that particular skeletons, 3 skeletons, others are completely different ways of. So again, it shows there is some kind of a differences within the Harappan, what we call as a Harappan umbrella. There are differences between them. Then the most most of burials are extended, like having the supine position extended, but there are certain variations. And Kalibangan, as I said, you has shown various body alignments, various types of keeping the body or keeping the hands and legs. The recent excavation exhibit the Rakhigarhi exhibit the extended position in the fawn deposition, which was not found in the earlier excavation. It shows that you're having the pit burial, pot burials, cranes, tumuli, and displaying variant cultural properties and population, which is seen in different parts of Harappan culture. There is at least 2 incidences where pathologies are seen in the relationship with the modes of the burial, as I was talking to you about the Rakhigarhi, that male which has a syphilis, and the Dholavira individual which has that kind of the church blood in the cervical region. And one more is for that Farmana site where the trauma, not complete healed trauma associated with the double burial. So coming to the last slide of mine is, even though we consider that Harappan is a one culture and one type of the one comes under the one big umbrella, but then you are having a really variety or deviations in the mortuary practices. So the mortuary certain obviously will have certain similarities, like having extended, having pots and other thing, but there is no strict yardstick in the or there is no strict rules in Harappan phase. And similarity also, but then there are variations and there are little bit. So it has a balance kind of a thing, which needs to be understood better way. Burials predates procedures have also shown that Harappans respected their dead, obviously, because they have put a lot of efforts to bury their departed ones, and lot of inputs have been done to keep the burial properly laid burial. The main thing is number of burials also indicates that other modes of disposal of dead were present and not all were buried in the cemetery. So this is one of the very important, not exactly conclusion, but you can see the observation what we have. So thank you for listening